Hartmayer here. In our last session together, we talked about a hormone called cortisol. This is a chemical or hormone that our body releases when we are under a lot of stress. Today, we're going to talk a little more about stress and how it affects our ability to learn and to make wise choices and be reflective. When we are feeling stressed, not only does our body release cortisol and adrenaline, but it also keeps us from being able to access what we call our thinking or learning brain. Remember we talked about the brain in our earlier lessons, and we talked about a part called the amygdala. That was in charge of our fight, flight, freeze. That made us act really reactively or quickly. We also talked about our hippocampus that held our memories and our prefrontal cortex that helped us make wise decisions. Now, the amygdala is what we would think of as being in our lower part of our brain. It's at the bottom or towards the bottom of our brain. And our hippocampus and our prefrontal cortex are in what we would think of as the upper brain. We also call that the learning center of the brain because that's where we can make reflective choices. In the lower part of our brain, we make more reactive choices. It takes a little more energy or fuel to move from our lower brain all the way up and take those stairs to that upper brain. Remember we said that our first thoughts kind of go into that amygdala and we have to train them to go up through the hippocampus and through to the prefrontal cortex to make those wise choices. We need energy to do that. That takes a lot of fuel from our body, and our body is using fuel for other things too, like being able to move and to breathe. It's helping our organs work and our muscles like our heart work, and we need those things to survive. So we need a lot of fuel not only to keep our bodies going, but to help our brain learn and make reflective choices. When we are under a lot of stress, our body is using a lot of its fuel to keep us vigilant or aware or to try to keep us calm. It's using a lot of that fuel during the stress response that we need to be mindful. And our thoughts aren't able to travel all the way from our lower brain to our upper brain. So we often become reactive instead of reflective. You might hear the words learning center of the brain, or even bigger words like executive functioning skills. Those are the things we need to be able to access or get to be able to learn our best and to be able to make our best choices. We can't access those though if we don't have enough fuel to do that. And all of those things are located in our upper brain. So we need fuel to kind of climb those stairs from our lower brain all the way to our upper brain and be able to do those things like learn and be reflective. But how do you build fuel when you're using so much? Remember yesterday when we did the exercises and we felt our pulse? Our body was using a lot of fuel to make our heart pump and get the blood and oxygen to our muscles quickly. When we slowed down and did our mindful strategies, our heart was able to slow down too and take less fuel. In fact, we think of our mindful strategies as a way to refuel, like going to the gas station. It's a way that we refuel our body. Our mindful breathing, listening, smelling, tasting, and focus activities are not only a great way to train our brain to be reflective, but they also help us get our bodies more fuel. So when we're training our brain to be reflective, we're almost training it to use its fuel the right way and also giving it some fuel. There are other great ways to refuel our bodies too. One is actually exercise. That seems strange since I just said that our hearts have to beat faster and that takes a lot of fuel. But when you exercise, it can actually help relieve that stress or lessen your stress response. And remember, stress is a big fuel guzzler for us. We can do different types of exercises to refuel. You could do exercises like running, walking, riding your bike, just playing outside. Maybe having a great game of tag is a great way to exercise. We also have some mindful movement activities that take our exercise a little bit slowly and help us not only get our exercise in and de-stress, but also help us refuel in a different way. So those activities would be things like yoga. Have you ever tried yoga before? Or mindful walks. Maybe at school you've done something called 5 and 45 where you've gotten up at your desk and done some desk side exercises. Well, we can do those things here at home too. Today we're going to try out 2 mindful movement strategies we can use to refuel our bodies so that we can access our upper brain in those learning centers. Let's first take a look at a mindful walk. When you do a mindful walk, you want to pause, notice, and think about the things you're seeing, hearing, and feeling. You might notice while you're walking sounds that you've never heard before, like the crunch underneath your feet, or maybe it's muddy and making a sloshing sound. You might also notice things like birds chirping. Are there different kinds of birds that you hear? You may see, hear, and feel things that you never have before when you slow your walk down and think through what is going on around you. That's being mindful. You can do a mindful walk in a park or on a trail, or you can do one right in your neighborhood, right outside your door, maybe even inside your house. There are always sights and sounds all around you that you might not be noticing as you're walking. And noticing the feeling of how your feet are touching the ground and noticing how your body feels in the area is a great way to be mindful as you walk, whether you're outside or inside. Let's take a look at one more mindful movement strategy today. The exercise we're going to do today is called 5 and 45. To do this exercise, you'll need to stand up wherever you are. Next, you'll need to find your home base. You'll do this by putting your arms to your side, turning, and making sure you're not hitting anything. Then raise your legs and make sure you can do that without hitting anything in front of you or on your sides. That's how you find what we call your home base. Now that you've found your home base, we're going to get right into our exercise. We're going to do a pattern 5 and 45. What we're going to do is we're going to start by doing one motion and then adding on to that. So what I want you to do first is raise your hands up. Go ahead and try that. Raise your hands up. Great. Now I want you to touch your toes. Go ahead and touch your toes. If you can't touch them all the way down, that's okay. Try one more time. Touch those toes. Great. Now let's put them together. Hands up. Touch your toes. Perfect. Now we're going to add another movement. That's going to be a jump. Now let's put the motions we have together. Raise your hands up. Touch your toes. And then jump. Perfect. Now we're going to add our 4th movement and our last one. It's going to be a knee-high raise. So you're going to raise one hand up, touch the opposite knee. Raise the other hand up, touch the other knee. Perfect. Let's put them all together. Hands up, touch your toes, jump, and one hand up, touch your opposite knee, other hand up, touch your other knee. Let's do it again. Hands up high and touch your toes, jump. One hand up, touch one knee, one hand up, the other hand, and touch the other knee. Good, let's do it again. Hands up high, and touch your toes, and then jump. Hand up, one hand up, touch your knee, other hand up, touch your knee. Great. One more time, hands up high, touch your toes, jump. One hand up, touch your knee, other hand up, touch your other knee. Great job. You can keep doing those movements in that pattern and see if you get better and better at that.
and maybe try it throughout the day. Thanks for doing some 5 and 45 with us.
Do you feel fueled up and ready to go? Mindful movement strategies, and really movement of any type like play or exercise, are great ways to get your body fueled up and ready to go. It allows you to de-stress and fill up that tank so that you can access that upper brain where your learning centers are and where you can be reflective rather than reactive. Now, after I finish a mindful movement activity, I need to refocus my body sometimes. So I always like to end any movement or exercise break with a few deep belly breaths to help me get back to the calm, alert, and ready to learn. So I've fueled my tank, but I need to remember to focus again. So I like to do those breaths. Let's do them together with me before we go here.
Let's take a deep breath. Fill those lungs up with air. Blow it out. Take another deep breath. Blow it out. One more. Take another deep breath. Blow it out.
That will help you now be fueled up and calm, alert, and ready to learn. We'll talk some more tomorrow about emotions and the things that we can do to really notice how we're feeling and how others are feeling. And we'll also learn how connections can be refueling for our brain and body. Have a great day.